In a world consumed by urgency, noise, and constant reactivity, the serenity of a woman who chooses peace stands out like a beacon. Her calm presence interrupts the chaos and creates an atmosphere where others can breathe more easily. She is not rushed by the demands of others, nor is she compelled to prove her worth through dramatic displays. Instead, her maturity is expressed in her ability to pause, to respond instead of react, and to hold herself steady in situations where others might unravel. This self-possession is magnetic because it communicates confidence without arrogance and composure without coldness. Carl Jung would describe this kind of serenity as a reflection of individuation, the process of becoming whole by integrating the self. A woman who embodies peace has faced her shadows, learned her patterns, and chosen alignment over performance. Her calm is not naivety or passivity. It is the fruit of inner work. By no longer scattering her energy in unnecessary conflicts or validations, she lives from a center that others instinctively trust. Men who are emotionally mature sense in her a rare kind of strength, the strength of someone who does not need external chaos to feel alive. The psychological impact of this calm is powerful. In a culture where constant attention-seeking has become the norm, serenity disrupts the pattern. Instead of fighting for space or competing for acknowledgement, she allows her presence to speak for itself. This quiet confidence draws others in because it feels safe and refreshing. Men in particular notice this difference. While insistence can feel demanding, calmness feels inviting. Her peace communicates that she is whole within herself, and wholeness is always magnetic. Everyday life provides clear illustrations of this magnetism. In a heated discussion, she listens without rushing to dominate, and her measured words carry greater weight than the loudest voices. In relationships, she does not chase after attention, but her steadiness inspires others to give it freely. In professional settings, she brings balance to the room, simply by not joining the current of panic. Again and again, her calm becomes the anchor that others seek, often without even realizing why. This serenity is not about detachment, but about mastery. It allows her to engage with others from a place of choice rather than compulsion. Men who value depth and stability recognize this immediately. They are drawn not only to her composure, but to the sense of maturity it represents. They know instinctively that her calm is not weakness, but wisdom. The very fact that she does not need to compete for their attention makes them offer it more willingly. The paradox is striking. The less she insists on being seen, the more visible she becomes. The less she demands affection, the more affection flows toward her. Her calm does not diminish her presence, it magnifies it. She is not dazzling through performance, but radiating through authenticity. This is why her peace becomes irresistible, not to everyone, but to the right men, those who see strength in serenity and value in composure. Ultimately, the serenity of a woman who chooses peace is not just a personal victory, but a relational magnet. It signals maturity in a world of impulse, authenticity in a culture of performance, and wholeness in a landscape of fragmentation. Jung would argue that this kind of presence reflects the deepest integration of self, and it is this integration that draws others not through drama or insistence, but through the quiet confidence of someone who knows her worth. One of the most powerful effects of a woman choosing peace is the natural filter it creates in her relationships. When she stands firm in her calm, she quickly discovers who is capable of meeting her with maturity and who is unsettled by her presence. Insecure men often withdraw, mistaking her composure for indifference or feeling threatened by the fact that she does not need to compete for their approval. On the other hand, men who have done their own inner work are drawn closer, recognizing that her peace is not emptiness, but balance. In this way, Her serenity becomes a sieve that separates those ready for depth from those still trapped in immaturity. Carl Jung would describe this dynamic as the interplay of projection and individuation. Insecure men project their unacknowledged fears onto her calm, interpreting it as rejection, while mature men see it for what it is, evidence of wholeness. Her choice to preserve her energy without erecting harsh barriers reflects individuation in practice. She protects her essence without closing her heart. This ability to remain centered while still open is one of the clearest marks of psychological maturity. The psychological impact of this filtering process is liberating. Instead of wasting time trying to decode mixed signals, she lets men reveal themselves through their reactions to her serenity. Those who feel entitled to her constant attention expose their immaturity when they retreat. Those who respect her quiet steadiness prove their readiness to engage in something authentic. She no longer needs to chase clarity, because clarity arrives naturally when peace becomes her standard. Daily life offers many examples of this silent filter. A man becomes frustrated when she does not respond instantly to messages, revealing his impatience and insecurity. Another, however, admires her ability to stay grounded and mirrors it with respect. A man who expects drama grows distant when she refuses to provide it, while another leans in closer, appreciating the calm she creates in his life. Each reaction, whether withdrawal or approach, tells her more about the man than words ever could. This posture aligns with the archetype of the guardian. The guardian protects not by shutting others out, but by choosing carefully what is allowed in. A woman who embodies this archetype uses her calm as a boundary, an unspoken declaration that only those who can respect her peace are welcome to share in it. Her serenity is not a wall, but a shield, one that blocks immaturity while allowing authenticity to flow freely. The paradox is that by refusing to waste energy on conflict, she saves that energy for connection that matters. Her calm does not make her distant, it makes her discerning. Those who cannot handle her serenity disqualify themselves, while those who can recognize its value are inspired to stay. In this way, her peace becomes not only her protection, but also her invitation, a quiet call that only the right men can hear. Ultimately, the woman who chooses peace does not need to explain or justify her boundaries. Her calm is her compass, guiding her toward relationships built on respect rather than on chaos. Jung would say that this is the fruit of individuation, the ability to remain whole without needing to fracture for others. And in that wholeness, her peace filters out what is shallow and draws in what is real, making her irresistible to men who are ready to meet her strength with reverence. Peace is often misunderstood, and one of the quiet signals that reveals a woman's true strength is her ability to distinguish between healing silence and punitive silence. Choosing peace does not mean shutting down or withholding affection to manipulate. Rather, it means deciding how and when to express emotion in a way that preserves dignity. Healing silence allows space for reflection, for cooling emotions, and for reconnecting with balance. Punitive silence, however, is a weapon, a withdrawal used to punish or control. A woman who consciously chooses peace understands this difference and ensures that her stillness heals rather than harms. Carl Jung would frame this distinction as the work of integrating the shadow. The shadow often pushes us toward repression or control, turning silence into a form of power struggle. But individuation transforms silence into presence, a pause that reveals self-mastery rather than fear. A woman who has faced her shadow no longer confuses peace with avoidance. She knows that serenity is not about refusing to feel, but about choosing not to let emotion spill destructively. Her silence becomes an expression of wholeness, not a denial of it. The psychological impact of this choice is profound. When silence is used consciously, It communicates maturity and stability. It shows that she can remain connected without needing to dominate the moment. This kind of peace does not frighten a secure man. Instead, it invites him into deeper trust. By contrast, punitive silence erodes intimacy, leaving both partners uncertain and distant. The healed woman recognizes that real peace is not coldness, but clarity, a way of saying, "I will not let conflict consume me, but I will remain present." Daily life offers clear examples of this difference. In one situation, she pauses during an argument, allowing both herself and her partner space to reflect. The result is reconnection, not distance. In another, she remains calm and composed during provocation, signaling that she will not escalate the conflict but is still open to dialogue. Small gestures, a gentle look, a patient pause, a simple touch, keep the connection alive, even in silence. These actions show that her choice is not withdrawal, but intentional restraint. This approach aligns with the archetype of the healer or the sabia. The healer does not deny emotion, but transforms it into wisdom. Her peace is not suppression, but integration, a reflection of lessons learned and strength cultivated. By practicing silence as a healing force, she demonstrates that maturity is not the absence of feeling, but the mastery of its expression. The paradox is that this kind of peace often deepens connection rather than diminishing it. By refusing to punish with silence, she communicates respect even in conflict. By offering pauses that heal, she models a healthier rhythm of love. This quiet steadiness inspires confidence in her partner because it shows that she values the relationship enough to choose preservation over destruction. Ultimately, the ability to differentiate between silence that heals and silence that wounds is one of the strongest signs of emotional maturity. Jung would argue that this choice reflects the integration of shadow and self, where instinct is transformed into wisdom. For the woman who chooses peace consciously, silence becomes not a weapon, but a language of love. And in that language, she becomes irresistible to the right men, those who recognize that her calm is not rejection, but an invitation to meet her in wholeness. Another expression of feminine peace that reveals true strength is the refusal to be consumed by drama. In a culture that often equates intensity with passion, many confuse conflict with connection. Yet the woman who chooses calm over chaos knows that love does not need constant friction to feel alive. By stepping away from unnecessary battles, she communicates that her energy is too valuable to be wasted on proving a point. Her serenity in the face of provocation sends a clear message. She is self-sufficient, grounded, and unwilling to trade her dignity for temporary victories. Carl Jung would describe this posture as the embodiment of individuation, the ability to hold one's center without collapsing into collective expectations. Drama thrives on projection, where each partner unloads unresolved wounds onto the other. A woman who has integrated her shadow refuses to play this game. Instead of escalating tension, she contains it. Instead of chasing validation through arguments, she rests in the assurance that her worth is not on trial. This is why her peace is not passivity, but mastery. The psychological impact of avoiding drama is profound. Men who seek control or thrive on conflict find themselves disarmed by her refusal to participate. They may label her calm as detachment, but in truth, it is power. She no longer allows her emotions to be hijacked by someone else's instability. Secure men, however, recognize this as maturity and are drawn closer. They see in her steadiness the possibility of building a relationship that rests on respect rather than volatility. Her calm becomes an anchor, offering stability in a world where many are drowning in noise. Everyday life provides vivid examples. In an argument, she chooses not to shout over someone, but to wait until both can speak with clarity. When confronted with manipulation, she withdraws her energy instead of feeding the cycle. When others attempt to provoke her into competition or jealousy, she declines, showing that her value does not depend on proving herself against anyone. These decisions, repeated consistently, reveal that her peace is not fragile, it is chosen. This is why her presence resonates with the archetype of the queen. The queen does not step down from her throne to argue with every challenge. She remains at the center, radiating authority not through dominance but through unwavering composure. Her refusal to engage in drama is not arrogance, but alignment. By staying grounded, she inspires reverence because she embodies a strength that does not need to shout to be felt. The paradox is that by doing less, she communicates more. By not reacting impulsively, she shows control. By not entering unnecessary battles, she demonstrates discernment. The less she tries to prove, the more undeniable her presence becomes. This calm magnetism is far more powerful than any attempt to dominate through noise, because it leaves no doubt about her self-possession. Ultimately, the woman who chooses peace over drama embodies a form of attraction that is both rare and lasting. Jung would say that this is the fruit of individuation. A woman who has integrated her emotions, shadows, and desires into harmony. Her serenity does not erase passion, it refines it. And in this refinement she becomes irresistible, not to every man, but to the right men, those who recognize that true strength is not found in chaos, but in calm. The deepest secret of a woman who chooses peace is that her calm becomes a lasting language of attraction. Unlike beauty, which shifts with time, or passion, which flares and fades, her serenity endures. It creates a foundation on which love can grow steadily rather than burn out quickly. A man who encounters her feels not only desire but also safety. He knows, often without being able to explain why, that her presence steadies him. Her peace is not absence of emotion, but presence of self. And that presence radiates security instead of need. Carl Jung would describe this serenity as the fruit of individuation, the integration of shadow, anima, and persona into a balanced whole. A woman who has reached this point no longer performs for attention or sacrifices herself to be chosen. She stands in harmony with her essence, and it is this alignment that makes her irresistible. Men who are prepared for mature love recognize that her peace signals more than calm. It signals that she is whole. Her wholeness invites connection without dependency, intimacy without chaos. The psychological effect of such serenity is transformative. Instead of pulling a relationship into cycles of exhaustion, she sustains it with stability. Her partner feels that he is not responsible for her sense of worth, which allows him to meet her freely rather than defensively. At the same time, her peace communicates that she values both herself and the bond, which deepens trust. In a world filled with tension and noise, she becomes a refuge. This refuge does not weaken attraction. It strengthens it, because stability is rare and deeply desired. Everyday life reflects this truth. A woman who responds with patience instead of panic turns conflict into an opportunity for connection. Another who holds her ground calmly during moments of uncertainty shows that she cannot be manipulated into desperation. Another who approaches love with steady affection instead of erratic demands creates an environment where intimacy flourishes naturally. These are not grand performances, but consistent gestures of presence, and it is this consistency that sustains magnetism over time. This quality embodies the archetype of the queen at its highest form. The queen does not plead for reverence. Her peace inspires it. She does not demand constant attention. Her presence commands it naturally. By aligning her serenity with clear boundaries and firm self-respect, she turns calmness into power. Her dignity, lived daily, becomes a language stronger than any words of persuasion. Men who are ready for mature love cannot help but respond because her composure reflects the very security they themselves long to embody. The paradox is that peace, often mistaken for passivity, is in truth the most active force in love. It does not chase, but it draws. It does not perform, but it captivates. It does not bend to chaos, but it transforms it. The woman who embraces this paradox discovers that her peace not only protects her, but also amplifies her allure. She is no longer chosen because she demands attention. She is chosen because her serenity makes her unforgettable. Ultimately, peace becomes her legacy. It sustains her relationships, preserves her dignity, and defines her presence. Jung would argue that such serenity reflects the highest stage of individuation, where inner harmony radiates outward as unshakable magnetism. For the woman who embodies this truth, love is no longer about being noticed, but about being respected. And in that respect, born from peace, she becomes irresistible to the right men, not for what she gives away, but for the wholeness she never loses.